Hey, here's your heads up to this longer podcast, one of the longer episodes. And it's all about whose goal, whose outcome are you actually striving and working for? Is it yours or somebody else's? Or is that the reason why things aren't happening for you? Because sometimes it's just a little tweak, a little understanding, a little knowledge, and you can create those goals, the outcomes, the richness of achieving what you want to achieve. That's all you have to do, is tweak things. But first of all, you have to learn, understand, go through some stories, go through some things that are going through in my life, but also the how-tos, how you can do those little tweaks. They're not mind hacks, because these things work. These things work and you can use them over and over again. So jump on board and have a good listen. Take notes if you want. Always good to take notes in a Jenny journal. Anyway, meet me after this.
Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey boys and girls, Paul here, Personal Development Unplugged. And this is going to be a testing episode, because of the last few days I have had tremendous troubles such as people hacking my bloody website, emails going all over the place, having to get in touch with the server hoster because I've got all sorts of problems, let alone other things going on in my life. And I'm finding them so difficult to cope with at the moment, because it's like one on top of the other on top of the other. But then I thought to myself, well, this is what you teach, isn't it, Cluffy? You know, you've got one thing, but you have to compartmentalize it and put yourself in state. Put yourself in the right state, the right intention, and get on with things. So here's what we're going to do. So I have a question for you. Have you a goal that's been around for a bit, maybe quite a bit, maybe quite a long time, that's just not being activated? It's as if you're stuck, you're stagnant, it's in the background, it's been parked, it's not been parked, you're just not moving forward. And you tend to think, well, maybe I should, but I don't know what's happening, or I'm maybe not that motivated, but maybe I am, but there are so many reasons that I can't get it. And those reasons we know are excuses, because they're the effects of other things. But hey, before we go there, about that goal, or about any goal that you're acting upon or not acting upon, did you ever wonder if it's your goal? If maybe you're living your life through other people's wants, other people's goals, other people's desires. Maybe they're desires for you from their personal experiences. Such things as mums, dads, granddads, grandmas, maybe your partner, where all these things happen, maybe your siblings. You see, sometimes we do that. Unknowingly, unconsciously sometimes. Well, mainly unconsciously. Because that reminded me of a story when I thought about this. I worked with this lad a long time ago, way back in the days when I was in Cambridge, in the early days of Cambridge hypnotherapy. And this guy had a terrible stutter. And sometimes I get really good results with stuttering, and sometimes I've had a little difficulty, but I get there in the end. But this particular one, he could speak quite clearly sometimes, and then all of a sudden it would happen. And we were talking, and I said, do you have any brothers? And he goes, yeah, I've got a couple of brothers. I said, okay, do they stutter? Not at all, Paul. In fact, when we talked about his brothers, he didn't stutter, which is just clocking up in my brain. He says, no, not at all. Mum and dad, does mum stutter? No, not at all. He said, my dad does though. All right, how badly? He goes, about the same as me. Oh, this is strange. Interestingly strange, isn't it? So I said, how come your brothers don't stutter? And he says, well, I don't really know. So then we did a little bit of a hypnosis. We then went back inside to that root cause. And it all came down to the fact that his brothers didn't stutter, his mum didn't stutter, and that left his dad all alone. And how could he, as a dutiful son, let his father suffer alone? So he began stuttering. And he never stopped up until that particular time. And then just understanding that positive intention. So, well, how can you also support your father? And also, would your father be proud of himself that he's holding you back? Would he want you to hold yourself back to speak this way? What would happen if you just showed him the love that he has for you and you have for him? And do all the things other than stuttering that would support him as being the son and the father that you both are. So that was like, not a goal, but how things can be, or our lives can be affected by other people. And maybe sometimes the goals that we strive for might pull us away from those family members maybe. I know there's a lot of people who are embarrassed that they have a goal to earn so much money, to be so successful, and yet because that would mean earning more than their father, that would in some ways make their father sad. Well, in fact, I think it would be the opposite. Being a father and seeing your sons being successful, earning money, being rich in all sorts of different ways, you can be so proud of that. But sometimes we just see it in a different way. So that was a bit similar. And the thing is, we're also given advice, aren't we? Given advice when we're young, or even not quite so young, from people who think they know better. They're not you. They're doing it for the wonderful, positive intention of trying to help you, I'm sure. But they giving advice from their own set of beliefs. And where did those beliefs come from? Those beliefs came from, I guess, their experiences from the past. And maybe they had, speak clearly, Paul, they had inherited them, as it were, from their parents and grandparents, generations. And those beliefs are so powerful, especially when they come from someone you love and respect, and you take them on board very, very much uncritically a lot of the time. You see, I've always wondered, and I know I've spoken about this before, always wondered about my love of art. I still love art. I still love to spend more time doing it. But I know a long time ago when I wanted to be an artist, I wanted to train to be an artist. I wanted to go to America and work on the Marvel comics, those superhuman, wonderful comics, be a comic artist. And what I was told was, why would you do that? Because you see, the percentage of people who succeed just through art college are very low. And then when you even succeed through that, the chances of getting a job would be even smaller than that. And the chances for you, Paul, to go to America and become that artist that you want to be, well, now we're getting to tiny, tiny percentages. So I didn't. I still love art, though. So it's still something inside me that yearns to do something like that. Now, were they right? I don't know. Who will ever know? And that's the thing. We'll never know. We'll never know what opportunities may have come along, the things I learnt, the people I met, or would have met, could have met. But still, I don't know whether that's a stumble or a stop, or maybe it's just a pause that we talk about, and I'll unpause myself. Maybe I've got to go back a bit deeper to try to find the learnings from all of that, and then just take it a bit further. So, Cluffy, where is this all leading us to, though? I'll tell you where it's leading us to. It's about these goals that we are stumbling on, maybe stopping or pausing on. The ones that maybe we think that we should be doing it. So that's all should be's. I wish I coulda, wish I didda. So one of the things that is in the very nub of this episode is I have such a big desire for you to just go for it. Forget everything that anybody has said, and you choose. You choose for you what you want to do, because when you do that, I believe you're going to feel so liberated, so free. You will succeed because you will have the motivation, the drive to do it, because it's part of your passion. And in some ways, by doing that, all the people around you will get to see you being the real you, enjoying with passion and love. Now that's what we want. We want people to see us and be with us like that, because that's when we're really connected, isn't it? We're connected through that wonderful positive vibration of who we really are. So the thing is, what do we do with all this bit of information? Because as we've said before, information, knowledge, is absolutely, it's useless to some extent if you're not going to action it. Use it, learn from it, and learn from it by your actions. So how do we stop and choose the things we want to do and the things we're not doing? Well, it's ever so simple, really. It's by stopping and choosing. Oh, flash of the bleeding obvious again, Cluffy. But the thing is, these are different times in your life. Not in your life, but these are just different times from that advice, those beliefs that were imparted to you consciously and unconsciously. Things have changed. Think of all the different things that's happened in the last 10 years, let alone the last 50 years. And the other thing is, these things have changed, and your set of experiences are made you unique. The beliefs you have, the true core beliefs that support you, the ones that you've formed, are unique too. Which means, and I wrote down so, ... we all have our own direction in life, our own missions, I believe, our own missions, our vision, and all supported by our passion. And I think it's our duty, as it were, to make sure that we own them. Own them, and like a plant, you plant that seed, you look after it, you nurture it, it grows, you support it, you continue to feed it with knowledge and information. And as it grows, you just keep on just supporting it all the way through until it begins to flower and do what it's supposed to do. So I think we just take time out. That's the simple advice, really. We know the old in simplicity there's genius, but just take time out to assess, reassess those dreams, those goals. Dreams and goals that you've started but didn't finish. The dreams you haven't started, wish you had. And maybe the dreams that you haven't even dared dream about. But by stopping to assess and reassess and just ask questions of yourself, what is my ultimate vision? What is my dream? What are the things I love doing that if I started doing them would make my life so rich, and allow that information to flow from the inside? To find out, I guess, what you want for you. Nobody else. Everyone else gets the benefit of you succeeding that. And this is where we're here to support you doing that. It's as if I'm trying to put those seeds into you so they flourish, and you and I will nurture them. But one of the things you might want to do as you assess and reassess your goals and the goals you haven't started yet, maybe just think, what will you get? What will you get when you're successful in doing this, in executing this goal, achieving its result? What will allow you to do after that? What opportunities? Because it is a continuum. It's not the goal and the end. It's a continuum of milestones of your life, I guess, in this overall mission of being you. So what will you get by doing this one particular goal? Now, you may find you get not a lot out of it. You may even find, do you know what? I don't even want this goal. And this is where I've been coming from about taking on from other people's advice. This isn't really for me. I'm actually doing it for other people, and that's not the right thing to do. And if it is, then just say no, park it, drop it, leave it. But if you say, yes, actually, this is the type of success I want, this is the direction I want to go, because sometimes we're going to change the direction a bit, but this is the sort of direction in which I want to go. It's going to allow me to serve and do what I do best and enjoy. Well, that's the time when you get that goal, and you can go through all different goals, all different areas of your life, remember. Look at the ones you're doing now. Look at the things you would like to do. And with each one, check your values. Just ask yourself, why is this important to me? Why is this goal important to me? Write down the answer. And when you write down the answer, read the answer out loud and then just go, and why is this important to me? You'll get answer number 2. So 2 along. And then you go with that answer, read that answer out aloud and then say, and why is that important to me? So you get a third one, a third removed from the first part of that goal. And then just notice them. Are they going away from something or towards something? If they're all going towards the things that you want, awesome. If there's a slight away from, which means like, well, I wouldn't have to suffer this, or I would be moving from, get the words right, Cluffy, I'll never be poor again, or I'll never have debt again. That sounds quite positive, but it's away from debt. It's not towards richness. And if you've got any of those away froms, just start to learn from them. How can I change this to a positive? What do I need to learn from this particular part of me that if I got it a different way would allow it to be a positive, a toward? Because sometimes it's those values that are like moving away from. They're the things that stop us progressing because it takes us just far enough away from the thing that we're moving away from and then no further. We tend to just stop there where it's sort of comfortable. Whereas if we know we're going away towards riches, and riches in all manner of things, so not just financial, richness may be in experience, in friendship, in relationships, in everything you can think of. Then you could start to say, right, now I understand. This is one of my goals. This is the thing that I want. It's important to me. I have value in it and of it. So then we say, right, out of all of these plans, all of these goals, which one do I want to start first? Because you can't start them all at once. Again, we get that overwhelm. So look at each one and say, well, which one would make the most difference in my life if I started that one first? It would make a difference to all the rest by starting this one first. And just notice which one jumps out at you. And begin to work on that one. How do you work on that one? Well, we're going to make a plan, aren't we? But I always do a plan from the end, coming backwards. So the plan starts with having achieved that goal. Because then you know what it's going to look like when you get there. That's always going to give you the motivation. Every time you think of that end result, actually achieving that goal, boom, it's going to pull you towards that goal. But then you go, well, what has to happen just before that to allow me to get that goal? And then what has to happen just before that to allow that step to happen to allow me to get that goal? And carry that on, what has to happen before that, until you get to today. And you'll know then what's the one thing that I have to do that will be like tipping that first domino of the domino rally of this goal. Because once you set it in motion, you'll have emotion, you'll have motivation. Then what you do, knowing that very first thing you need to do and all those other steps, you commit. And it's not one of those things where we just write down, I, Paul Clough, commit to this, because you can throw that away if you wanted to. You can misread it. You could just forget about it. But no, if you commit into your diary to schedule it in, schedule the right amount of time, not too much, not too little, just enough to do that first step. You commit every day, every week to doing that next thing, the next thing that'll allow you to have that goal, and then the next thing. And then at the end of the week, you review. Did I actually do the things I said I was going to do? Because I know we write them down, we commit, we schedule them, but we still actually got to go through that day, that thing, and do it. And if we didn't, maybe something more important came up, because it does occasionally. You know, life happens, and sometimes we have to park a few things and get on with the other things. And if we have, then we reschedule, and we give it a bigger star, and we commit even more. And then the next week, we review again and review again. Because when you take that action, with a wonderful intention and setting your state. Remember that, setting your state, the right state for that work, recommitting to that intention, looking at the goal. You can do this. How else can you do it? You can get a coach. I do coaching online. It's not pushing me, but if I can do it online, you can do it online. You can do it with me. You can do it with somebody else. You can do it somebody you know. You could do it by email if you wanted to. If you've got a little query, you can email me. feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. I'll give you a little pointer. If I don't give you a pointer by email, I certainly give it in an episode, but I'll tell you that too. And it's all private. So you could do it that way. But remember those 5 keys to success. Can you remember them now? I'm waiting. Well, here's the thing. The 5 keys. Know your outcome. Because a lot of people just kick off without knowing their final outcome. But we just worked on that, haven't we? The last step, the last thing you do to get that goal. What is your goal? Yes, I'm committed to it. I'm going towards it because it's important to me. So now I've got my outcome. I know the direction I'm going, the goal in mind. Then I'm going to take action, massive intuitive action. Well, it's sort of intuitive because we've intuited the steps you're going to take. But if something comes up more important and you suddenly see a little bit more, you have an aha moment, an opportunity arises, you take it. So you're going to take that intuitive, massive action. But then you're going to be aware, which is a bit like the reviewing. I want to know where I am. Am I still in the right direction? Maybe I've gone off course. Maybe there was a problem that I had to get around. So being aware of where you are, you're measuring your progress. You're measuring how far you've gone, how far you've got to go. Because it's always good to know that. If you think about it, you might get just so close to the end and then stop because you weren't aware how close you were. So we're going to review, become aware of where we are, and then we're going to be flexible. Be flexible in our mind, flexible in our psychology, our emotions, our behaviors, so we can get around any problems. How we can pull ourselves back on course. Because we've got that outcome in mind, we're taking that action, and we're always aware. And with that flexibility, we're going to use also the act as if. Act as if you've got that goal. What would it be like for you when you had the physiology and psychology of that successful goal? That who you will be. So this is not making it up until you fake it or faking it till you make it. This is acting as if you've got the goal, taking on the physiology and psychology of excellence. You can also go to the hypnosis programs I've got. Remember, they're at paulcloughonline.com/podcast. And there's 1 or 2 there around about setting your state. There's one there I know about a well-formed outcome. This is how you understand your goal. So you get a well-formed outcome and you know then you really want it. We've got all those there. So that means then, not only am I encouraging you to take action on your dreams, I just know you're going to get them. And you're going to justify so-called failures of the past because you've learnt from them, because they were like little signals to you. The things that you've stopped doing, the things you're going to do differently, which means anything you had fear about will just fall away because you've got that goal in mind. You've gone through the steps. You know you can be flexible enough to deal with anything. And doing all of this, you can be that change you want to see in others. If you really want to go through this, try to remember, maybe listen to this again, and then tell somebody about it. Because when you're telling somebody about it, a bit like me telling you, I'm learning even deeper at another level by teaching this, if that's a right word, or for sharing this is a better word, for sharing what I know. I'm learning what I know even deeper. And things will come into my mind I know after this. And it'll become another episode, I'm sure. So I have 2 questions for you now. The first thing is, how did I do? Did I manage to change my state to get this episode out to you? I hope I did. I know when I seem to have gotten in, I've got lost in this episode and devoted, just purely focused on you. So hopefully that's come across. I'd love to know if it did. Or maybe I didn't, and this is me deluding myself. Either way, I'd love to hear your feedback on that. That same email, feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. Love to know that. But also, how How do you think now? How do you think differently about those goals? Has any of this resonated within you? Maybe if I talk about stopping and choosing and stopping and pausing. Maybe just if you stop and pause your life for maybe 5 minutes and think of the things that you want in your life. Notice them as goals, outcomes, things that you want. And notice, is this something you should be working on in the way I've talked? Because if they're not progressing the way you want, or if they're not just progressing, put it that way, you can discover maybe why they're not progressing. Could be those values. Maybe there's it's not exactly what you want. Maybe you hadn't really looked at the end result, but then you change it. Or maybe you find it's just not for you. Maybe you just stop and pause and have a think about that. Let me know. Let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback, as I say, on that email. Not going to repeat it again. I'm just so interested and curious of how your goals are progressing. Anyway, until next time, have a great day, a great night, a great afternoon, a great morning, whichever time you listen to this. Have more fun than you can stand, and I'll look forward to speaking to you real soon. It's Paul Clough, Personal Development Unplugged. Just have a listen to this before you go. Before you go, my friend, I'd like to ask you a question. Did you learn something from this episode? I hope you did, because even though every episode may not be the one that really floats your boat, sets you, alight, hopefully there's a takeaway in each and every episode for you. And I'd love to know what it was. So please do email me at feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. It's a personal email to me. I'd love to know so we can carry on doing this work that will allow you to exceed your dreams. And what's the payment for this? Payment, Cluffy? What are you talking about payment? I thought it was free. Well, it's like pay it forward. And if you could pay this forward in 2 ways, or maybe 3. The first way is please share it. Share this podcast with as many people as you could. And you can. It's very easy. Just press that share button. Send it off by email to them. You'd love to. This is something you might like. I'll get that right, Paul. Something you might enjoy. And hey, if you could, a real big pay it forward to me is wherever you're getting this podcast, is it iTunes, Castbox, or Stitcher, or whichever you're getting it from, Google Play, I don't know. Would you please just leave a review? Because the review really helps people find this podcast. There's thousands out there, and I want to direct people to this podcast. And the way to do it is by reviews. So if you could do that, if you could share, you could do that. And also just make sure that you're subscribed so you get this episode and every other episode on a Wednesday and a Saturday. If you could do all of that, my little heart will sing. And if you want me to sing, well, you'll have to wait and see. Enjoy. But please do all of that. Make my heart sing. Bye-bye now.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.